Let's look at another very important topic, the issue around transportation in Nigeria and the challenges facing ride-hailing operations in the country. Of course, by 2020, according to a report, the ride-hailing market in Nigeria is anticipated to generate a revenue of $303.31 million. They're talking about at the end of the year 2025 this year. Of course, the sector is expected to exhibit an annual growth rate of 11.99%, approximately 12%, leading to a projected market size of $477.1 $1 million by 2029. That is a very huge market that that sector has turned into. I have somebody here who is a very key player, a strong key player in this area. He joins me in the studio. Kingsley Eze is a co-founder and CEO of Nairaxi. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me.
It's a big market you're operating in. I mean, a very huge number there that you heard, $303.3 million at the end of this year. Though when you compare us to China, which is a bigger market, we're still way behind. How will you assess the performance of this sector so far in Nigeria?
Yeah, the ride-hailing industry, first of all, is innovative, and Nigeria adopted that technology very quickly. You can see most of our Gen Z generation, anytime they want to go from point A to point B, to pull up their phone, log on to one of their preferred mobile application and order a ride. So apart from the downturn caused by a bit of the slow macroeconomic growth we've experienced that cut into people's purchasing power, that's what slowed that sector down. But I know that by the time you have the rebound of the economy, people having more money, more disposable income, you're going to see a much bigger growth.
Bigger market. Yeah. Indeed. I'm very impressed with these numbers. And it's also projected that by 2029, we're going to have at least 42.88 million people using ride-hailing application in Nigeria. I mean, how will you assess this rate of performance or growth?
Nigeria is a big country, over 200 million citizens that call themselves Nigerians. So that growth is very healthy, and it's a very young population, and we're adding more to it. So the growth is very healthy. And the next thing that powers this is, if you check the cost of owning a vehicle, you see that Nigerians have no other option but to rent or use ride-hailing app most times, or use public transportation. And we're seeing a gradual adoption of public transit system around the country. So that will balance out the demand for ride-hailing services.
You're also into you operate a hiring exotic cars as well in Nigeria. Tell us, how effective is it? I mean, a lot of people may not be aware.
Yeah, the exotic car business, obviously, that targets the high-income earners. It's like one step above the regular ride-hailing business. So that's a niche business. High-income earners, most times it's all about convenience. Instead of driving an exotic car from Lagos to Abuja, why don't you enjoy that same service in Abuja, with a similar vehicle that you're used to in your state of origin? And Nairaxi provides that service. So it's a niche business that the people that need it come to us for that service. But what we put out there is the public transit and the regular consumer driven demand for ride-hailing.
Indeed. Who are your major customers? I don't want to probe into that.
Our major customers are just the average Nigerian.
Yes. I'm sure you have a lot of politicians there as well.
Yes, we have very good clientele. We try to keep their information private, because they trust us with their day-to-day movement. So, but for the core ride-hailing business, we are targeting just the average Nigerian, medium income earners, urban professionals, students. We hope that the economy improves so that they can have more money to be able to afford basic service, which they want to patronize, but their purchasing power cannot
Cannot
accommodate
afford.
that at the moment.
Indeed. Let's talk about the competition in that industry. We have very few of them available in Nigeria. How stiff is the competition? How is it driving the market?
Competition is tough because for companies like us, indigenous companies, it's challenging because we're not as well funded as the international players. They come in with lots of capital, and they've been doing that in other cities, so they have much let me say unfair advantage. Their venture capital is backed, and they are very good in what they offer. So it forces indigenous companies to innovate in order to survive. If not, you can't compete. So
they brought out the best in indigenous companies.
They bring out the best in us indigenous companies trying to compete in that market. But the only thing is, you just have to adopt like a blue ocean strategy where you think of what is not available and delve into that niche business and have a better survival chance in making it.
Indeed. What about in terms of expansion? It seems to be limited to Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. I mean, we have other major cities in Nigeria. There is Benin City, there is Kogi State, where I come from. We don't really see much of them in Lokoja and other places.
I think everything is driven by demand and supply. At least we maintain a nice, robust tech analytical platform to know where the demand is heading to. Trust me, if there's demand in Kogi State, we'll be there. But we just want a situation where we build something truly indigenous, truly well used in Nigeria, make our mistakes here before trying to branch out into other African countries.
Indeed, the expansion indeed beyond the borders is also very good. Let's look at some of the challenges that you have faced. The removal of fuel subsidy in 2023 also contributed to the increase in terms of cost of operations, cost of transportation, and a lot of that. How much of this impacts? How much of this is impacting on your businesses?
And the core thing or the core expense that we have noticed is, input costs. Obviously, transportation you have to do with fuel. You must buy fuel to fuel your vehicle. So just imagine fuel moving from, let's say, 250 to 900 or 1,000 naira, depending where you're buying from. So you are looking like almost 400% increase in cost of that input. So it's a huge challenge. So the only way you can survive is to obviously increase your price. And increase your price, customers complain, they're also facing the same challenge in their day-to-day life. So due to that low purchasing power, it's a problem. Next thing again is for other companies, I think drivers might face increase in their commission. The commission that most companies take from them also slashes what they think is their final take-home revenue. I'm drilling it down to other things like poor infrastructure, poor internet connectivity, reduces people's ability to even request for the service, the roads. So we just hope that things improve as we go forward to help our sector.
But it's a lucrative business, isn't it?
Yeah, ride-hailing business is beautiful business because obviously you're working with an asset and you're just scaling that asset using digital means. So you can reach more people, and if you can get that network effect, like more people booking a single asset, you can break even and make a good living.
Yeah, indeed, but there's issue about operational cost. Talking about the concerns that some of the drivers have raised, there's also a concern about the cost of refilling. I mean, buying fuel as well. Are you in any way advising some of your members or those that work with you to convert vehicles to CNG, which is more, less expensive now?
Yeah, if they have the option of, thank God the government through the presidential CNG initiative, has stepped in to help in that direction. So if you have access to, converting your vehicle to run on CNGs, it's advisable because it's going to cut your cost down by almost half, 50%. So for drivers that have access to those kits, I will advise they convert. But most times you see that the issue is they don't have access to the kits and they are expected to make an upfront payment for a kit of almost 1.5 million. So that first upfront cost is something that discourages them from, converting their vehicle. Next thing is access to the CNG itself. We are scaling up, availability of CNG refueling stations. Gradually NNPC is adding NIPCO and other players coming on board. So I believe that in 2 years down the line, by the time you have enough kits, enough refueling station, it makes economic sense to switch and cut your cost down by 50%.
Is there any way you can rally them together and of course, try to find a way to bring them together? Maybe when you have 10, 20, 50 people converting at the same time, the converting companies may lower the cost.
I think that's a very good idea. So have like a pull effect. Well, we'll look towards that direction. But the government has already set up something like that. Where they have a proper committee that has to look into this to help in making subsidized kits available to the end users. Because if you check, even to import the kits into the country, you need a lot of regulatory approval because you are working with gas canisters that has to meet a certain level of safety measures. So I feel like the government is best positioned to drive this particular initiative in terms of pulling ride-hailing companies together, having like key stakeholders that are into the business, interacting with the drivers day to day to come on board to make access to kits and conversions more widespread.
Indeed. Another concern raised by some passengers is the fact that many of them find it difficult to identify a CNG-powered vehicle. Because when you say if a liter of fuel is about 1,000 naira or thereabouts, and you buy CNG for 200 naira, and you are charging passengers at the same price, how will somebody identify? Will you suggest a way that we can identify a CNG vehicle, a CNG-powered vehicle from that of the petrol-powered vehicle?
I think that's where we have, at least as citizens, everything is not the government's fault. We should be like a high trust society where the government has helped me to get a kit at 50% discount, so I should translate that savings to the end users. But what we are seeing, honestly, is you see drivers that get free kits and they still charge the same price because there's no way you can identify most of those cars. So I feel like it's like a branding thing. Maybe on the windscreen you can put like a non-removable sticker, or even import like directly made CNG vehicles, partner with car companies that produce these cars. So when you see this model of vehicles, you just know, just the way you see a truck and a bicycle, you know the difference. So I feel like having like specialized vehicles that the government can also, apart from giving out the kits, having those cars deployed for ride-hailing and public transit business. So consumers know that once you see this type of vehicle, I should be getting something cheaper, way cheaper than and when people see that people are going to that type of vehicle, obviously they can start buying that same type of, it's economics, so everybody wants to make money. So you see private players that would want to purchase that type of vehicle so that they can attract the public. Because if you notice the current 30-day rand challenge that you see people, check through the videos, half of their problem is transportation. When they complain about food, the next thing is transportation. You are earning 100,000 to get to your house is already 60,000. You are just left with 40. So the government should see transportation as a pertinent problem that once they solve, a lot of the complaints will reduce. Because if you pay a cop at 70,000 and they are spending 30, 40 to just, they've tried, you can't go, if they've tried to use keke, they've tried to use a bus. So it's not like they are going for luxury. This is just basic transportation. Yeah, so I feel like if they tackle that problem, half of their problem is solved.
And there's also a government did plan when the subsidy was taken out. There was a plan that some CNG-powered vehicles were going to be brought in, buses, and all of that. Look at it now. Almost 2 years down the line, Nigerians are still waiting for the CNG vehicles. The last one that I saw on, I think, Onyanya route or thereabout,
Yes.
is still way not enough. I think about 2 or thereabout.
Yeah. The last time I was here in the studio, I mentioned something that, first of all, even if you want to go to the market, you have your money, I want to buy 1,000 CNG vehicles today. Nigerian government wants to pay for it. Trust me, you will not find it. Mercedes or what do you call them? Any bus company will, give us the money. It will take us 3 years or even 2 years to produce up to 1,000 cars. So the idea of bulk purchase will not work. Will not work. So
but do you think government didn't do their due diligence before they came up to say, look, we're going to make CNG so and so number of CNG available in 500 in so and so
I feel
months?
like the intention is correct, but economics would bite you in the face, because like I said, you want to produce, even if you want to order an aircraft, you have the money, they will tell you join our waiting list. So because you don't have that capacity to produce up to that quantity. So what you can do is, on the short term, you can work with diesel powered buses, but you work with the bus company. They tried it during the Christmas transport subsidy program, where they worked with private players with their own buses, but they had, if you carry one passenger, they could track it, which is where technology comes in place. So you give transport companies KPIs while we are waiting for the buses to be manufactured, and properly communicate it. Because if you've made a promise that, I'm going to have 10,000 buses shared to different states, and like you said, it's 2 years, you're going to lose the trust. But if you say, we have ordered these buses, this is who is manufacturing it, they can't produce it now. It might come in at the 4th year of my tenure, but while we are waiting for the buses, this is what we have put in place. So you use normal people that have their buses, and instead of me charging 500, I can charge 300. So government should pay me 200, because 500 is what will enable Nairaxi to be profitable, and it saves the government the cost of that first initial capital investment to get the bus, because I have it. So you can have enough private players with their buses coming into such programs, coordinate it, make it transparent. If you go to Plateau State, they have their cards. Go to Lagos, they have their cowrie cards. So you can use that card system to know how many people actually consume that service in a day, and make sure that the transport companies can, they have the KPI, they have the incentive. So if you take 1,000, government knows 1,000 beneficiaries have, you've given 200 to 1,000 benefit, which is 200,000 naira. So by the time you are spending 200,000, you can see this is where the subsidy reinvestment went to. You understand? But by the time you want to import the buses, just want to have like a full, track train to accomplish that, you're going to waste time. Corruption can come in, and people are frustrated because they can't. They want an immediate succor to their problem.
Indeed. As we wrap up this conversation, now my first guest this talk about the removal of subsidy as a very good economic policy, like he did say there. But if you look at the impact that we're having now, especially on cost of transportation and also on the general well-being of the people, will you think that was, a very good decision, especially if you put the larger population into consideration?
Yeah, it's a fantastic decision. It's a bold decision. But just the way a doctor will not operate on a patient without anesthesia, the government should do little things like this. And like I've mentioned, the only way out is to use players that have what you need. There are people, there are investors that can go get a bus by themselves, provide the service. But why they can't do that is, for example, as a company, we've had people that they want to buy a bus, 100 million, but in a day you are going to have, like, let's say 800 passengers, and the 800 passengers will pay you what they can afford is 200 naira. By the time you do the maths, in 1 year, even 5 years, your buses, you can't recover that money. But by the time government is coming in to shore up that deficit, you are showing up that deficit because you know your citizenry cannot afford 500. So you just have to find a way to use them as the immediate fix while your buses are being produced, while you're fixing the CNG infrastructure, and while you are doing other things that would, at the end, make sure that everybody is happy. But for removing fuel subsidy, that's the right thing to do. But something should have been done to make sure that the transition is as painless as possible.
As possible, indeed. Many Nigerians would disagree with you because they say the subsidy removal was the source of their pain. Absolutely. I must thank you, Kingsley Eze, co-founder, CEO of Nairaxi. Thank you for your time on Business Daily. We appreciate your contribution.
Thank you for having me.
All right. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again on Monday. I am Yusuf Akogu.